Beautiful. Hashtag Genio for life. The fantastic part about having the Pro or Precision version of a Genio is it gives you the ability to reproduce a roast very, very easily. The traceability from the software perspective gives us the ability to look at the roast, identify the issues, and make the changes that are necessary. We have the software that gives us this traceability that we can retrace our steps and get a better result the next time we roast it. The characteristics of the Ethiopian were very much on point in terms of what we were looking for, but we just lacked a little bit of depth and we lacked a bit of caramelization towards the end. So overall, great roast, one or two small problems. The end result for me was the fact that I could have ended on a roast at about 12.5 minutes opposed to 13:24, with potentially about 21% development, because I would have kept the same maillard and increased the development percentage, which would have given me a fantastic final result. If you look at the profile, you'll see I took a slight dip in the gas just after 4 minutes. The problem there is I lost a little bit of energy in that process, which made my ROR drop. If you look at the ROR graph, just after that, I had quite a steep drop. Then I kept it for longer and I got a little bit of a fleck just after 6 minutes. The drop in ROR is actually very crucial to our flavor development. Our flavor development would have lacked a little bit, so we might have lost a bit of complexity because of the caramelization. But overall, through the maillard, we got a great time within the maillard reaction, which gave us the flavors, but it would have lacked that complexity and finish that we were looking for with a better percentage in terms of the development. So that small change in terms of that gas just towards the beginning, between 4 and 6 minutes, would have made this graph look completely different and would have given us a better result on the overall finish of the coffee. Drum speed in terms of capacity of any roast, I will look very much at consistency, especially with a well-graded bean. I don't want to really change my drum speed throughout the roast. Anything in terms of 2/3 of the capacity of a drum. So if I was roasting between 4 and 5 kilos, I would have probably looked between 48 and 52 hertz. But anything where you're roasting at full capacity, depending on the size of the bean, I would look at anything between 55 and 60, giving you a decent flow within the drum so you don't end up with too much conductivity. So with this particular screen size, I chose a 57 drum speed. At turning point when I checked the bean, we had no scorching throughout the entire roast. Overall, a great result without any scorching or tipping on the roast. So the 57 was a good choice. Even if it was 57, 58, or even 59, it possibly would have been fine. But you can make some adjustments accordingly if you want to. But overall, I would be happy with this drum speed. So the second profile we're going to look at is going to be the Indonesian mundeling that we used. It was a mundeling that is grown between 1,300 and 1,500 meters above sea level. We looked at a charge temperature of approximately 210, which we used, and we had a very, very successful roast, as you can see. The one thing for me, which was the greatest part of this roast, was just how, without this sounding funny, easy it was to roast. It was very, very stable throughout the roast. You can see right up to first crack. We did not adjust the gas. We did not touch the fan speed right up to a very later point. And the drum speed, as you can see, consistently at 58. The bean size here was a little bit more erratic in the sense of its screen sizes. We probably had about 4 different screen sizes within one bag. Choosing that drum speed gave us a really, really good result. We did have a little bit of scorching here and there, not major, but it was more on the smaller beans and a couple of the bigger beans that got stuck along the way. As you'll see, the ROR as well, we ended on a 3.7, which is very good, and we had no major dips or stagnation. Only, as you can see, going into first crack, where we made our first adjustments, was where we got a little bit of a stagnation. But overall, this by far was the best one. It had the best amount of body, the best complexity, overall flavor and finish of all the coffees. So overall, this roast was a complete success, and it was the first roast that we did with the Indonesian. So choosing the right charge temperature here, in some cases when you roast, you will have success straight off the bat on roast number 1. Sometimes that's not always going to work. As you can see with the Ethiopian, we probably would have gone with a slightly higher charge temp there. But the consistency throughout this entire roast gives me the ability, once I've checked it, to say I'm very, very happy with this roast. There may be very little I would actually change here, if anything. I would most likely keep this roast exactly what it is. Would try it 2 or 3 times, check the consistency over all 3 roasts and see if there's any changes. As roasters, what you want to try do is keep a retention sample of every roast for up to 6 weeks. So that your clients, if they do come back to you when they've unbagged a coffee after 4 weeks, you've got a sample that is sealed. It's a good idea to do, and it really helps you that if you do have a problem, you can give an honest opinion of coffee that you've roasted that's been stored correctly. We really enjoyed roasting this Indonesian, and we hope that this profile will help you with the Asian coffees you choose. So now we're taking a look at our South American roast. We used a Brazil Cerrado natural coffee. Something a little bit different compared to the Ethiopian and Indonesia, which those 2 coffees were washed coffees. And I just want to discuss a few things that we did differently with the natural. So you'll see our charge temperature on the graph is 190 degrees. If you look at the formulations and the guidelines for a natural Brazil, you'll see it's anything between 180 and 200. So this was our first roast and successful roast that we did. We stuck with the 190. On turning point, just under 1 minute 10, we had no scorching or tipping. We had a great rise in the ROR and a nice gradual ROR ending on 2.2. Overall, this roast was very uniform, had a lot of flavor and a lot of complexity in it as well. Typically with a Brazil Cerrado, you will get nutty, earthy, chocolate notes, depending on the farm, the harvest, the age of the crop. This is a relatively new crop. It's a 2019-2020 and a very, very uniform screen size as well, coming in between 16 and 17. My fan speed was very consistent throughout this entire roast, as my ROR dropped at a really, really great rate. The one thing I would have changed is where my ROR stagnated slightly between 8 and 10 minutes, I would have kept my gas a little bit higher at that point to allow it to drop a little bit more gradually, and maybe have tapered my gas slightly between minute 6 and minute 9. In terms of development, in terms of the time of this roast, it was very successful. It had good flavors. As you can see, it's 23.1% development. Drum speed for me was great at 58 throughout the entire roast. Remember, all these roasts we are doing was on a 6 kg Genio. At full capacity, we're running 6 kg roasts, so you need to be watching that drum speed. Fan, as I said, 27, absolutely perfect, and running from a decent temperature, dropping right down to 42 on the gas, which was absolutely fantastic as well. A good place to start with a South American coffee, with the formulations. Different altitudes, we recommend different charge temperatures, and with washed coffees, just add 5 to 10 degrees to compensate for that little bit extra aggressiveness you want to do. As you can see, with the software, with the slight adjustments we can make, and with this Genio Pro or Precision version, you have the ability to manipulate your roast to the point of giving the perfect Maillard, the perfect caramelization on your roast, but more importantly, finding that sweet spot we're looking for from roast to roast, from coffee to coffee, from blend to blend. It's important we keep this traceability as part of every step of the journey, and with Genio, you can't go wrong. Cheers.